Hi everyone. Hi, my name is Aviel. I'm Israel Super Guy from the land of the Messiah. And in this webinar, we are going to explore the site related to the ministry of Yeshua. We're going to present a series of slides and we're going to navigate together this fascinating city. So, while waiting, let's do it. So, before we speak about the site regarding the ministry of Yeshua here on earth, I want to give you a very short introduction to the city because many people interpret Jerusalem according to the time period, their culture, as well as their surrounding. First of all, Jerusalem is sitting on two hills. So we see over here, this is what today we consider the city of David. We're going to speak in a moment about it. This is what is known as the Eastern Hill. As I said, Jerusalem is sitting on two hills. This is the Eastern Hill. This is what it more or less, not exactly, but more or less what the city of David looked like about 3,000 or 2,800, 2,700 years ago before it was destroyed by the Babylonian. This is what is known. And I want you to pay attention to this area where I'm moving my mouse, the cursor. Over here, this is what is called the stem stop structure. The temple was later on built here. So this will be the Kidron Valley. Then we have what is known as the Central Valley. We're going to see another side of the city known as the Western Hill. Now, if you would like to know more about the city of David, I'm going to leave you a link below where I did as 11 part because I wanted to keep it short. 360 degree. Yes, it's available in my YouTube channel, so I'm gonna leave you the link below. Now, this is in two dimension. The city of Jerusalem during the time of Yeshua. Something you need to understand that Jerusalem that we see today is not this Jerusalem of 2,000 years ago. As well, the Jerusalem of 2,000 years ago is not the same Jerusalem of 3,000 years ago. Yes, I know, is perhaps complicated for some of you, but the good news is I did a two-part video where I'm 360 degree, which is amazing. You can, if you're using your smartphone or if you're using a PC or a tablet, you can, if it's a tablet or a cell phone with your finger, you can move to every direction. If you're looking at via PC, then you can move it, all right, with your mouse. Now, again, this is east. This is the Kidron Valley. This is very important because we are going to focus basically on the last week of the ministry of Yeshua. So Gethsemane over here. Obviously, this will be the month of Olive. Here is the city of David, which was at that time part of what I call the greater Jerusalem, which was really massive. Here, what we saw before on that drawing, this is the Central Valley. It will be the area of the temple, and this is the upper city. This is the Western Hill. I told you Jerusalem is sitting on two hills. There were three walls before it was destroyed by the Roman. Wall number one, wall number two, built by Herod the Great, and the third one built after the ministry of Yeshua. Now, briefly, as I say, for more details on the history of Jerusalem, I invite you to visit this two-part video where I'm going around. Yes, it's fascinating. The walls. And as I'm showing you the walls of Jerusalem, I'm telling you her history. Now, very briefly, Jerusalem is mentioned for the first time. This is an approximate day around the 19th to the 18th century BC. That's almost 4,000 years ago. something similar to this. This is called the execration text. These are Egyptians. The name of the city, are you ready for this? Yerushalayim. Yep. That was more or less the pronunciation of Jerusalem about 4,000 years ago. Later on, we have over here what is known as the El Amarna letters. Actually, these are correspondence. Basically, these are the SMS of the ancient world. It's written in cuneiform language because it was the lingua franca of that time, like pretty much what English is today. That's 14th century BC. This is not the exact one that is mentioned in Jerusalem, but it's something similar to this. Why do we call it the El Amarna? Because they were found in Egypt, in a place called El Amarna. This is 14th century BC. Both the execration text and the El Amarna letters mentioned Jerusalem before the Bible was written down. It's that not amazing? And the name of the city at that time was Jeru. It was two words, Salem. Wow, but it's not what you think. Because cities were named in the ancient world after the patron. And Salem was the patron, the god of the city. So don't think, oh, this is what it means, the city of peace. No, we actually don't even know the exact meaning of the word Jerusalem, which is how it is known in Hebrew or in English, Jerusalem. Now, this is a model of Jerusalem in the time of Yeshua before it was destroyed by the Roman. Again, this is the Kidron Valley, and this will be the Hinnom Valley here on the west, the city of David, the Central Valley. This is what the entrance for most people into the temple area. We have this double gate and another double gate called the Hulda Gate. The famous Antonia Fortress right here, and then you can see the tip over here of the temple which Herod basically refurbished. This area over here will be the upper city where the aristocrats, the priests were living at that time. And here, this is very important because in a moment, I just want you to have an idea what it looked like. This is the Siloam Bowl. And a very, very important event took place in the time of the ministry of Yeshua. Yes, you are right. We are talking about the miracle of the blind man. Remember that Yeshua put something or got his blood on the floor. He was so mad and put it on this man. I said, go to the pool of Siloam, and this is the pool of Siloam right here. Now, this picture I took looking south. This is how actually the city of David looks today. We have, not everything from that time period. It's many or most of it is buried because you have housing in that area. But over here, you see a little corner. Well, we have a Hasmonean Tower, which is 2nd century BC. I invite you again, leave you the link if you want to know more about the city of David. 11 part. It's about 8 minutes or 5 minutes each part, but it's in 360 degrees. The Kidron Valley, we cannot see the Hinnom Valley from this vantage point, but it's behind this hill. And over here, we have what is known the Mount of Evil Council. This is the name that comes from the Byzantine, the Christian period in Jerusalem. And in this area over here, this is where we have what is known today as Mount Zion. Again, if you want to know where Mount Zion, the one mentioned in the Bible, so I invite you to watch my City of David video, which is in a playlist in my YouTube channel. The Pool of Siloam, yeah, it doesn't look much with what we saw in the model. Now, this was rediscovered in the year 2004 when they were doing some repairing of the sewer pipes that were running in this area. And these are the original steps leading into the pond. This is soil. You have to imagine this whole area was buried with soil. How high? Okay, you see this is a door. Okay, this high. So this area and below was all buried. This garden belonged to the Greek Orthodox, therefore it's private property and cannot be excavated. But this is it. This is the one where the miracle of the blind man took place. Is it not amazing? So you can see in 360 degree in my City of David video, and we continue. Now this is one of my favorite pictures. This is now we are looking now at the city from the south to the north, and this is east. This is the Mount of Olives. Well, it's not quite much olive. If you see all this white area, these are a Jewish cemetery, one of the oldest cemetery in the world. Very soon, for that you have to subscribe to the channel, my YouTube channel, Israel Super Guy, where I will be making a video and I will go into more detail. The idea of this webinar is just to give you a taste of the city of Jerusalem. So over here we have the City of David. There are historical reasons why it's outside today of the city wall. Over here is the limitation of the wall on the south. Remember those double gates that we saw in the model? They are over here. So this whole area that you see that I'm moving the mouse is where the City of David over here used to be, in this area of the Western Hill. And today, of course, you have the Dome of the Rock as well as the Al-Aqsa Mosque. For more details on the history of these places, you will find it in the two-part video where I'm going around the city telling you the history of this fascinating place. Well, here it is. We know that Yeshua as a baby was presented here in the temple. By the time Yeshua was born, Herod has already when I say refurbished, it means that there was a temple there, but not as spectacular as this one. I mean, this was one of the most beautiful buildings at that time in the entire Roman Empire. The description of the building was fascinating. Remember what the disciples told Yeshua when they came to Jerusalem, and they were, they were amazed. Remember, these are fishermen, these are farmers, and when they saw something like that, it's like someone from, let's say, a very small town. I'm going to take this example of the United States in this case, and going to New York City. I mean, I've been in New York. I used to live in New York, and I'm telling you, that city is like a wow, wow. Something like that. And this is how it looks today. Again, I took this picture looking towards east. This is the Dome of the Rock. Here is the Church of Mary Magdalene, which got nothing to do with Mary Magdalene in the sense that it wasn't built because she did something there. No, it was in honor of the mother of the Kaiser of Russia. Here you see this tower. It's called this is the Russian Orthodox Church of the Ascension, and this one over here is the Pater Noster. There is a video on the place list about Jerusalem because I like to categorize my videos, and this one section just cites about Jerusalem, and I did an introduction, not 360, it's just only a plain introduction of this church over here, known as the Pater Noster. Now this is another view of the Mount of Olives, remember that most of the ministry of Yeshua didn't take place in Jerusalem, right? I mean, it's very, people are surprised. Really? Yeah, most of his ministry took place in the Galilee. So where did he stay? Where he came to Jerusalem? Are you asking? Well, he used to stay he had friends behind this hill over here. This is still the Mount of Olives, but behind is Bethany. So who was in Bethany? Well, we have Simon the leper, obviously Lazarus, the one he resurrected, Mary, and Martha. Like I said, you see all this white area, and over here, that's a Jewish cemetery. The Church of Gethsemane. There is a video on the introduction. Look, no 360. I haven't done that yet. It's in my wish list. Where Jesus have to decide. This is it. This is a crossing point, because this is in the area where he enters in a psychological, a mental, and even physical agony the night he was arrested. He knew what was coming. And I always said this, when I bring you directly to this area, is like, think about it. He had friends living on the other side of the hill. He could have easily gone to the other side and avoid being arrested, and the following morning obviously go down to Jericho. Jericho's down this area, and spend a night there, and then go to the Galilee and live happily ever after. Did he do that? Obviously no. But remember this, when you're reading your Bible, put yourself as not of the one who is reading it, but as the one that is inside. What I'm trying to tell you is that the disciples didn't know that he was going to be arrested. Had they known that, they would have been ready. But you know the story, right? What did they do instead? Yeah, they fall asleep at least twice. Here is, that's how it looks today. But I want you to pay attention before you look at the big picture. Let's go to the small picture. And this is known as the Pool of Bethesda. There were two pools in which they collected rainwater. And I'm pretty sure, if you come from the Christian tradition, that you know the story of, also mentioning, by the way, the blind man and the paralytic man. These stories are mentioned only in the book of John 5 and John 9. So you know the story. You know that there were many people sick there, and Yeshua chose how many people? One. Not everyone that was there, not the multitude like he did in the Galilee, just one. That, my friend, is called grace. Because we cannot do absolutely nothing to earn it. He saved us, he called us because, yes, it's just pure grace. Well, during the Christian era, and when I say Byzantine and Christian era, is pretty much the same, that starts in the 4th century AD until the 7th century AD, precisely 638. This is when Islam came into the land. Again, I'm not going to go much into detail. For that, I invite you to watch the 2-part video I did about the history of Jerusalem. So this is how the pool, like this is the southern pool, which is this one. We cannot see this one because it's buried. But you see the steps over here? Ladies and gentlemen, these are the original steps. So this is here what the miracle took place. Now, why am I so high? I mean, you can actually see it here. Okay, I'm moving it here so you can see. Well, this is the level. This is a valley going north, south. And it was throughout the century it accumulated a lot of debris, garbage, so on and so forth. This, what you see over here, are the base of the church that at one time was there, 5th century to the 7th century, because later on was in destroyed and in disuse. This chapel that we have over here is known as the Dominus Flevit, which means the Lord wept, which is the shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept. And this is a Franciscan chapel, my favorite one in the Mount of Olives, and this is how you look at it from inside. It was built in the 1956 by an architect called Antonio Barluzzi. And according to Christian tradition, again, this is a tradition, when you hear me say according to Christian tradition, because it's that. It's a tradition. Whether it was there or not is irrelevant. What is important today is what it represents, because somewhere in that area, Jesus looked into the city on his final week, and he cried over her. He cried because he wasn't crying for himself. He cried because of her. He knew that the city will reject him. But even worse, he knew the city, one generation later, was going to be destroyed, and it was, in the year 70 by the Roman. So, being there, I really don't know, but every time I love to go there. Not to mention the view from here towards the city. That's why Antonio Barluzzi put this window here beside the altar. You see the chicken, which is below, and then I know it's kind of small, but trust me, it's there. The chick, because that's what Yeshua said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how long to gather you. As a hen gather her sheep. But Jerusalem, you will not see me again until you say, Baruch haba, B'Shem Adonai. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And I pray that this will be soon. It's possible in our day. But although he may tarry, we will keep on waiting. And that's the view. This is how you look today, of course, from that, from the Mount of Olives. Obviously, this building wasn't there. This building wasn't there. That's the modern city of Jerusalem. Obviously, there was no cemetery yet. There was a Jewish cemetery, but down below. If you see this, you see me moving over here, well, in that area. Is that not amazing? Again, more about the history of the city, and I'm going to leave the link in the description. The upper room, or the room of the Last Supper. This is what is known today. You can see it's an empty room. I did recently a video on the coming of the Holy Spirit, as well on the Feast of Pentecost. I invite you, of course, I'm going to leave you as well, because I speak a little bit about the room. So when we read in the Gospel that Yeshua had the last meal the night he was betrayed. And again, this is a traditional place. Obviously, this is not from that time period, but it's irrelevant. It's what it represents, what it means. Because it is here where he instituted the Eucharist, what also you know as the Lord's Supper, where he gave us one new commandment. And every time I think about this commandment, I feel not just more than a feeling, but I see how much and how many times I fail. love one another. And the body of Messiah, the body of Christ, Christian from around the world, we all have failed to love one another. Remember what he said, when you love one another, the whole world we know that you are my disciple. How? I give you just one example that we haven't loved one another. Look around you. How many Christians denominations are out there because of their theological differences? Pretty sad. Something to think about it. From whatever it was, the tradition say is in Mount the Western Hill, he goes to the Gethsemane area. Obviously, Judah knew where to go because he was familiar. Remember that often Yeshua stayed there with his disciple. And this is the church of Gethsemane, also built by the same architect, the one who built Dominus Flevey. This is known as the Church of Gethsemane, the Church of Agony. And these are olive in the garden. I'm going to tell you from now, if you ever hear or read that these are trees from the time of Yeshua, they are not. Sorry, it's an urban legend. And this is one of my, I would say my task is to tell people what tradition, what is historical, and what is legend. So these trees are not even from that time period. We have trees. Besides, a tree, an olive tree can only last, only live for no more than 900 years. But be as I may, when talking about Yeshua being arrested, so this is what I call the crossing road, where he have to decide whether to stay and do the will of his Father or simply run away. You could have done it. Remember what he said when he prayed, John 17, Father, pass from me this cup. He knew what was coming. It's like, as he was saying, is there any other way we can do this? But how did he finish the sentence? Yet, not my will, but yours. I don't think any other human being has ever been on that situation. But whatever your situation might be, your difficulty, we all pass through difficulties. Remember that moment, remember this place. Although it may not be exactly, again, it's irrelevant. It's what this building, this church building represents. It is here where he decided to stay and do the will of his Father. Nearby, just across the street, there's a small, this is the entrance, and this is a cave. It's called the Grotto of Gethsemane. It's a cave, it's a man-made cave, which was used during the Christian era, during the Byzantine period. And today is in the hands of the Franciscans that have been in the Holy Land for 800 years. It's a long time, since the 13th century, kind of on and off. All right. According to Christian tradition, this is the place where Yeshua left, the disciples and going a little bit further to pray. So he was arrested, and we know he was taken to the house of Caiaphas, the house of the high priest, which we know was in the upper city that was in the Western Hill. And this is more later tradition. This is the church called the Church of St. Peter in Gallicantu. St. Peter, the rooster crow. And this is tradition. We know it's not, again, remember what I said, it's relevant. It's what it represents. The prison of grace. Perhaps most likely the house of Caiaphas was a little bit more up into that area towards the Western Hill. It's in an area traditionally of the Armenian, but it is not open to the public. But we have this, and again, this helps us remember the word of Yeshua to Peter. Remember that? Yes, I know you do. Hi, Peter. I know I'm recording it, but it touches me because he told him, he warned him. Before the rooster crow, you will have denied me. You know me. We often think about Judas as the betrayer. They all betrayed Yeshua. First of all, they run away. And then Peter, denied that he knew him. So we do know the early Christian, they built a church here, not saying that this was the prison, but rather to remember Peter's denial. When you go inside of the church, it's at I love it. I mean, I love these doors. Okay, the engraved in a relief there, and you see Yeshua in blue and Peter in red. I mean, if you're watching this on a smartphone, maybe hope you can, see the details. You see Jesus is pointing with 3 fingers and one toward him, and Peter's like, "What? Me? No!" Yeah. Haven't done any video yet, so subscribe to the channel so when I upload that video, you will be notified right away as well. Thank you for subscribing to our mailing list. I also will let you know in our mailing list. Now, this is where history and archaeology and tradition kind of depart way. We know, and in the Gospel, both Matthew and John, that Yeshua was taken to the Praetorium for many centuries, based on the tradition and the understanding of the European Christian, known as the Crusaders. They arrived in Jerusalem in 1099. End of the 11th century, they actually put the Praetorium in the Antonia fortress, the one I showed you in the model before. However, when this area was excavated, can you see how dark the stone is here and how light the stone is here? Well, because this whole area was buried, so you didn't see the light of the sun for many, many centuries. So this entrance to this area, these walls are from the 16th century. Again, watch the video, the 2-part of the history of Jerusalem. And archaeologists and historians, they place the Praetorium not in the Antonia Fortress, but rather, are you ready for this? Herod's Palace. Yes, you heard me right. In this is the area and beyond where Herod the Great built his palace in Jerusalem, which obviously was used by the governors thereafter. Okay, where am I talking about here? Okay, we are looking from west to east. This is the Antonia Fortress. Here's the temple. This is the western wall. You see there are no housing attached on the western wall. And I mentioned to you that there were 2 walls in the time of Yeshua. This area is what was known back then as the place of the skull, Golgotha, or in Latin, Calvary. Right? So according to the understanding of the Crusaders, they thought, I think the Praetorium was here, therefore, this is where he was before Pilate. So they created, I don't know if you are familiar with the Via Dolorosa, the way of the cross. It's a Latin, Western tradition. It's not Eastern or Protestant tradition, it's Latin. What do I mean by that? When the Crusaders came, they had a different understanding from the local Christian who were Eastern Christian. Prior to the coming of the Crusader, there was a procession. They didn't call it Via Dolorosa. It was totally different from this. And it started in the Mount of Olives, Mount Zion, because this is the area where Caiaphas' house was, and then to this area, which we're going to see in a moment, known as the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So this is station number 1. Today it's a public school. Obviously the tower is not there. It was destroyed by the Roman. And this is station number 2. Again, these are all tradition. And this is known as the Church of the Flagellation, built in the 20th century by the same architect known as Antonio Barluzzi. According to Christian tradition, after Joshua went to Pilate and he was trial, Pilate ordered that he be flogged. I'm also right in front of this. There's another church called the Church of the Taking of the Cross, and from there, many Christians from around the world come and do the procession. They pass through this street over here. I mean, if you can see, this is the cross over here. This is where that's station number 2. You pass through, under this sort of like a bridge. It's actually not a bridge, okay? It is arch, which at that time, when it was built, not in the time of Yeshua, because today this is known as the Ecce Homo. What? These are the words of Pontius Pilate before the crowd when he presented Yeshua. Ecce Homo, behold the man. But this is the one, this is how he looks like, but not in the time of Yeshua, but in the 2nd century. It was built by Hadrian, the Roman emperor, and they made this church over here, which will be part of this, not this one, of course, arch, but it's a tradition. All right. These are station number 3 and number 4. Station number here is an Armenian chapel. It's called Jesus. Again, this is not mentioned in the gospel. It's an oral tradition. Jesus fall a first time. And then right beside is station number 4. Jesus, or Yeshua, met his mom, Mary. Now, we always think that there was no one else in the upper room. That Yeshua was having a meal with his, best friend and no one else. Most likely his mom was there. How do we know that? Because in the Gospel of John, we know that Mary, his mom, and other woman were right beside the cross of Jesus. So he couldn't have told him, Mom, tonight you're not invited. I see you tomorrow beside the cross. Obviously, no. So the station known as Jesus met his mom is there. It's a church. We just only see the facade. Station number 5 is called Simon of Cyrene. We do read this in the Gospel. Remember that during this time is the Passover, so there were tens of thousands of people coming from all over the Roman Empire. And the Roman sort of forces this man to carry the cross of Yeshua. It's a Franciscan chapel. And then from there, we go all the way up. Now, you literally will start walking up. You move towards west. You start climbing the hill. And this is station number 6. Veronica, again, no mention in the gospel. Then all tradition of this. And if you've seen some of movies, sometimes she's portrayed in movies. And she's the little girl who goes and give a piece of cloth to Yeshua to wipe his face. The tradition is that his face is imprinted on the piece of cloth. They're not talking about the Shroud of Turin. That's something else. Here we have station number 7. Yeshua fall for the second time. It's a Franciscan chapel. Again, it's an oral tradition. We don't read this in the gospel. Station number 8 is a simple Roman number right here. That's it. And I like this one because of what it represents. Because station number 8 is about Yeshua turning towards the woman who were following him and told them, daughters of Jerusalem, don't cry for me. Just cry for you and your children. Because if they've done this with the green tea, if they have done this with a green tree, what would they do when the tree is dry? Basically, he is the green tree. And who is the dry tree? The daughters of Jerusalem. I don't know if you have noticed, when every time I'm referring to the city, I always use it in the female form and not in the it. Because in Hebrew, cities are female. There is no it in Hebrew, by the way. Either a he or it's a she. Station number 9, we are on top of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It's a Roman number. Yeshua fall the third time. Again, it's another tradition not mentioned in the Gospel. So this is station number 10. Before we enter into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, I recently uploaded an introduction into the church because it's very rich in history. I also did a 360-degree video showing what the church looked from inside with no tourists. This happened during the time of the so-called pandemic. Session number 10 is a chapel that is close to the public. It belongs to the Franciscan. Yeshua is stripped off his clothing. Station number 11, this beautiful Crusader mosaic. Yeshua is nailed to the cross. Station number 12 here to my left, Yeshua dies on a cross, and which belonged to the Greek Orthodox, by the way. And station number 13, Yeshua is given to his mom. It's a bust of Mary, and this is what is known as the tomb of Yeshua. Obviously, not the one from the first century. Again, this place deserves a video of its own because it's very rich. I recently, because it took me many hours of waiting and going several times just to take this picture, because it's always packed with people. Not in the recent month because of obvious reason, but I did a video of what it looks inside also. I'm trying to remember to put all this video in the description. So shows is buried, but it's empty. This is how it looks from inside. Again, I have a video, not 360, just a regular video. Now, there are some Christian denominations that don't feel comfortable going to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, so they have an alternative. It's a later tradition. This place is called the Garden Tomb. Right beside, they have a hill. This whole area was an ancient quarry, because we know how people were buried in the time of Yeshua, and we know how people were buried 500 years, 600 years before his time. And this is what this tomb is. It's not from the time of Yeshua, but much earlier than him. But again, it's a tradition. This is the Protestant tradition. This is what Protestants like to go to, because the point is, it's not the death, but the resurrection. Remember what Paul says: if there is no resurrection of the dead, in vain is our faith. Simple as that. Now we approaching the end of this presentation, and this is known as the Chapel of the Ascension according to Christian tradition. This is the place where Yeshua ascended. This is how it looked from the inside up into his Father. Now, is that the place? Perhaps no. Again, irrelevant. What is important is what it represents. We do know, and thanks to the author of the book of Acts, we know where it took place. On the Mount of Olives. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Luke, for writing that and giving us that piece of information. Because the gospel don't tell us that. Is it not interesting? But he did in the book of Acts. And why did I say irrelevant whether it was here or maybe a few meters, to the road, to the north, to the south? What it represents. Remember the words of the angel. Men of Galilee, why are you still looking up? This same Yeshua that you have seen going, he will be back. Hallelujah. This is our faith. This is our hope. That one day, our Master, our King and Savior is coming back. Not to New York or LA, London, Tokyo, Rome, but to Jerusalem, not far from where I'm sitting. What a hope. And we should be encouraging one another with this. By the way, I do have a video on the Mount of Olives, more like an explanation. I still haven't done a 360. But remember, when you subscribe to the channel and you click the bell, you will be notified right away every time I upload a new video. As a matter of fact, I am uploading at least one video a week. All right, we're almost done. Yes, heavens, sky. That's where he wants to be with his Father. But he is coming back. Well, my friend, this is the end of this webinar. It was based on my book, Jerusalem of God. There are more sites. I could not present you all the sites, which are in the book. This was my first book. This is what got me into photography, what made me a photographer, and which one book led to another book. So if you would like to have a copy of my book, you can get it, on my website, IsraelSuperGuy.com. Go shop, and there you can get a copy of the book. Please let us know where you're watching us from. We would like to greet you. We would like to say hello to you as well. If you have any suggestion, wow, could you please show us this, or could you talk more about this? Please let us know in the comments below, and I will be happy to answer you as well to create this material for you. Really, for me, it's a pleasure to do this. And if you find that this is beneficial, okay, just don't forget to do click. But most importantly, share with your friend, share with your family, because you also help them to get to know more about this fascinating city. There are a lot of urban legends. There are a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of myth that people are taking it as a truth. They are taking it as a on face value. So we invite you to do so. Once again, thank you for reaching this far. My name is Aviel. I'm Israel Super Guy from here, from the land of the Messiah. And if you would like me to go directly to where you are and do a seminar live, let me know. Just send me a private message. I done this in the United States and the Philippines, and I'm willing to go wherever the Lord leads us as well. If you're coming to the Holy Land, I would like to meet you personally, even better, to be your own tour guide. Shalom from the land of the Messiah.